皆さんこんにちは and welcome to Shogo's podcast. So today I would like to share with you what should I say, something that we have actually experienced. Well, not me actually, it was something that Harumi experienced. Once I made in the past a video, it was a short video on my main channel talking about the kimono police. If you guys remember me talking about that, kimono police, to make a long story short, there are people who go up to strangers on the streets who are wearing kimono and suddenly point out what they don't like about their fashion or what they don't like about the design or the fabric and so on and so forth. So they're called police. Most of them are usually women in their 40s or older, and they go up to younger generations like in their 20s, 10s or 20s who are wearing kimono and going around and telling them, you know, these things like they don't like the design or they don't like the fabric and stuff. And I introduced that in one of my shorts and actually got quite a lot of views and comments and such. And there was a lot of people asking us, like, do they actually come up and talk to you on the streets? How often does it happen? So I wanted to introduce this real life event to you. So I think it was just a few weeks ago. I wasn't planning on talking about this in the podcast, so I should have talked about it earlier when it just happened. But I think it was just about 2 or 3 weeks ago when Harumi was wearing her kimono. My wife, Harumi, was wearing her kimono, and she was off to her Nihonbuyo, her Japanese traditional dancing training. Yeah. And then she was waiting for the traffic light to change, and then she was waiting, you know, on the streets. And then there was a very, very old lady, probably in her 80s, possibly even 90s, coming up to her and telling her, wait, you know, wait. You're wearing a summer kimono. You know, this podcast is going to be coming out in mid-winter, by the way, in December. She came up and telling her, you know, tapping her on the back. Did you say patting? Yeah, anyways. Yeah, tapping her on the back saying, that's a summer kimono. And then, you know, from here, this is the Kyoto language. What she said was, 12月に夏の着物なんてすごいね, which means, wow, it's amazing that you're wearing a summer kimono in December. You must be very strong towards coldness, kind of thing. You get it? It's sarcasm, right? Yeah, very, very Kyoto language. You know, if you watch my video talking about why Japan hates Kyoto, people of Kyoto, what should I say? It's their kind of style, you know, of talking without directly saying it. Yeah. And then by the way, so what she said was, again, you know, the kimono that Harumi was wearing was for summer, but that is not correct. It was not for summer, obviously. It'd be way too cold if it was a summer kimono. And she got a little bit worried. I mean, there's just so many different types of, you know, kimono. There are different fabrics, there are different types of kimono and different designs depending on the season, and there's a lot of rules, right? And depending on the region in Japan, the rules may differ, so it's very complicated. She went to her Nihonbuyo training, and she asked her sensei, like, is my kimono, what should I say, not good for this season? And her sensei obviously is a professional. She has a license to be a professional Nihonbuyo dancer, and she obviously wears kimono every day for her training and for her performance. And their answer was, no, it's a proper kimono to wear in December. So basically the kimono police, the old woman that Harumi met in the streets, was completely wrong. And these things often happen. And Harumi was obviously very scared to be suddenly talked to a stranger on the streets, a little bit angry, you know, and being pointed out that your clothing is incorrect or inappropriate while everyone else is there and listening. Right, that's very embarrassing. If that happened to you, you can kind of imagine what kind of atmosphere there would be, right? Yeah. So she was saying that it was really, really, should I say, very sad. Yeah, I guess she was saying a little bit sad event for her. And I just wanted to share with you, for you who are listening to this podcast, there's been a few people in the comments of my short video, the Kimono Police short video, asking, or not asking, saying in the comments, saying that, well, if the person is just pointing out any mistakes that I've made, I will be very happy to accept it. And calling them a kimono police and naming them as if they are like kimono Karens, is very impolite. But I really want to make it clear in this podcast that we don't call kind people kimono police. Kind people are kind people. I mean, like for example, like there's you know, I don't know, something on your clothes, just a piece of I don't know, string coming out of your clothes, or you still have your, you know, price tag on your clothes or whatever, you know. If someone came up to tell you that, they're just very kind, right? No, kimono police, they're not there to tell you that. They're there to tell you that they don't like the fabric of their kimono because it's a lower rank or stuff. For example, one thing I can say is that kimono, the highest rank, the highest rank of fabric is silk. So, but recently though, there are cheaper kimono that are like, I don't know, 1/10 of the price of silk kimono, like that are made from polyester or cotton or these different kinds of fabric. And but there are some people in the older generations, maybe 50s, 60s, 70s, around there, who consider polyester or other materials to be a lower rank or inappropriate to wear on the streets or embarrassing almost. So they literally tell you that on the streets. Yeah. But that is like, from my point of view, I feel that is very, very rude, right? I mean, like, clothing or any kind of culture is okay to evolve, and if polyester kimono is really good, it's washable at home, you can use a washing machine to wash it and you'll still be able to wear it. Cotton is very good too. It's very soft and it's good for your skin. Well, silk is too, but it's much cheaper, right? So there's a lot of benefits in these new kinds of kimono and fabrics, and obviously the people who are wearing it has some kind of reason to be wearing that. They might not have enough money to buy the expensive one, but they still want to enjoy the culture. Like, no one has the right to tell them that they can't wear a new kind of kimono, right? Like, somehow there are people who believe that if they know more about traditions, or if they follow the rules that their ancestors have, they are in a higher rank, or they have the right to force someone to do as they used to do in the past. But I personally feel that that is not a correct way how culture should be carried on in society or in any country. Yeah. So I just wanted to make it clear in this podcast that I'm not talking about simply just kind people pointing out, like for example, I mean, like wearing a kimono, for example, there are a lot of rules. Like, for example, you know, there's a place called ohashori, that's a lined cloth, the part of your kimono that's under the obi, it needs to be straight, for example, or the collar, the juban, the underclothes, and the kimono, the balance of the collar needs to be straight, for example. These things are important to make the kimono look nice. And for example, if you haven't noticed, if you kind of like, for example, if you have a bag on your shoulder and it's like, for example, your kimono is coming out to the side and someone pointing out that out for you, that would be rather kind, right? That's completely fine. The kimono police that we're talking about are not that kind of people. I'm sorry, I'm saying the same thing over and over, yeah. But I just wanted to make it clear in this podcast. Especially, it's the thing about YouTube Shorts. I recently really love making them. I can see a lot of people are enjoying our YouTube Shorts, and it's very good for me too. It takes a lot of, what should I say, practice to be able to try to wrap up on like a history of something or a culture of something into a minute, right? So it is really good exercise for me, my brain exercise, I guess. But also at the same time, there's a lot of information or exclamation I'm not able to include into the story. So maybe I think from now on, if I ever have an occasion again, I'll be probably talking about these things in the podcast and explaining to you. Maybe even putting the podcast on the description box or comments in the videos so I can talk more about the stories that I introduce. Yep. So yeah, please let me know about what you felt about this. Yeah, and I'm really hoping that, because, you know, Tomoko, our team member, Harumi, has a lot of chances to walk outside, go outside in their kimono, and I just really hope that what should I say, the elderly, I completely understand what they are feeling. I mean, the things that they've been carrying on, or the things that they've believed is correct, is not being done by the younger generations. And, you know, I kind of understand that they want to try to teach them, yeah, but there is definitely a nicer way to, and these kind of things will change, right? What you're taught at school will change depending on the generations, and then every other culture should change along with it too. So I just really hope that not just Harumi and Tomoko are my teammates and such, but younger generations who are willing to, for example, learn more about or experience the traditional culture. I just don't want them to give up because there are people who are trying to stop them, if that makes sense, you know? Yeah, so I just hope it'll be the society or everyone will be more welcoming to the younger generations and change in all traditional culture. Okay, then everyone, thank you so much for listening to today's podcast too. As I always say, the ultimate goal of my life is to make all Japan lovers' dreams come true. So I know that there are a lot of people outside of Japan who are really interested in Japanese culture, willing to study Japanese or making Japanese friends and so on and so forth, but I'm really afraid that Japan might not be able to make everyone's dreams come true in the future because we are facing a lot of social problems. We are losing our traditional culture as we've been talking about today, and also the younger generations like us in our 20s or younger are dying because of all of the social issues that are being shoved on us. So I want to dedicate my life to try to make Japan a better place. I want to solve the social problems. I want to try to evolve and change traditional culture so it can be passed down to the next generation, and I want to help out the younger generation so they can have a brighter future. And to do that, as you might know, the first step towards my humongous dream is to achieve 1 million subscribers by January 2023 on my main channel. So all your likes and comments will help to boost my videos to new viewers, so it'll be great if you can do that for me. Okay? So then everyone, thank you so much, and I will again talk to you in our next podcast. Bye bye. Thank you so much.